As for Psalm chapter 4, the whole psalm is about how David has very peaceful sleep despite the plot against him by his enemies. So the whole idea here is that God gives peaceful sleep to those whom God loves. David talks about the group of people, right? These are probably the upper class and people who are so-called having social status in society, and they're really plotting against him, coming together, plotting against him, trying to, really fabricate things against him, tell lies, plot together, and telling lies about David. But God has set him apart, like David says here. God sets him apart. God set apart in verse 3. The Lord hath set apart him that is godly for himself. Alright, so it is very important that, sometimes we do find it so lonely path. But it's not because of that. It's because God sets apart those that are godly for himself. But we do have the comfort as long as we are, we trust in God and we cry out to him in our prayers and offer our sacrifice. We know that God's face is always towards us, looking over us and taking care of us, and we can be very happy and glad and not fear when we sleep. And our gladness will be way beyond those who have their wine and corn increased. We can just lay down peacefully and sleep, because it's the Lord, like in verse 8 it says, it's the Lord that maketh me to dwell in safety. So God definitely gives peaceful sleep for those whom he loves. So there are 3 reasons as to why we can have peaceful sleep at night. Because we know, number 1, God will manifest his righteousness to those whom he loves, and to those who loves him. So by having the faith to pray and living it to God in everything, and especially our worries in times of difficulty, we can see how God will help us through. He will enlarge us. He will stop the shaming and the lies of those who are supposedly to be having status and power in societies, the so-called upper class, or whatever class of status that they have above those who are suffering, those children of God who are being plotted against, or suffering difficulty and disadvantaged by them, being done things against them to cause them to be in a disadvantageous position unfairly. Number 2, God does separate. So God separates a person, those who are godly, to belong to him. But we don't have to worry, whatever the case is, we may feel so out of place that we are suffering things that people are not suffering. But God does his work in ways that we do not see, and he's with us always. So even at night when we're sleeping, we do not have to fear at all. Number 3, God is with us. He's not going to leave us alone and lonely. And like David explains here, God is with me. I'm not alone. I'm not lonely, even with no one caring for. We know that there are situations where he says that when my parents forsake me, the Lord takes me up. So even the family members may not be able to help us. They just can't, care or help us much at or whatever difficulty we're going through. But we know that God's face is always looking over us and taking care of us, so that we're not alone. Our road is not a lone or lonely one, as it may appear to be, and it is, and in many ways it is. That we're just going through things that people are not going through, and people are not on our side. to care for us, to help us. We go through a lot of pain and suffering and ungratefulness and being put down and being taken advantages of, but we don't have to fear, because all the shaming and plotting against us will be stopped by God, and we can still sleep, and so we can still sleep very peacefully at night and be refreshed spiritually, physically, mentally, our soul and spirit and body, and on all the three will be refreshed the next day.